Hello, Mr. Hutner here. Hope everyone is doing well. Wanted to go over the practice formative assessment number 2 from yesterday with you, show you some answers, talk about a few of them. So in number 1 here, we're looking at an equation in point-slope form. We've got the general form of y equals m parentheses x minus x1 parentheses plus y1. So I identified a slope m of negative 2/3, an x1 of negative 4, and a y1 of 7. I plugged those different values into the problem, and then the only other thing I had to clean up there was that minus a negative. I changed it to a plus sign by the end. So I got y equals negative 2/3 parentheses x plus 4 parentheses plus 7. So moving on to number 2. So a lot of people ask questions about this one. Here we had to make an equation for a line of best fit. And a lot of you noticed that the line didn't hit any of the points in their scatter plot. So we actually don't use any of those points to make our equation. They used those points to make that line, but now we use points that are actually on the line, like that one and that one, to make our equation. So I identified from that point I had to go down 5 spaces, and then I went right 2 spaces there. So I used that to make my slope of down 5, right 2. That's negative 5/2, negative 5 over 2. From there I had to pick a point on the graph. I picked 2, 20, but I really could have picked any point on the line. So I could have picked 0, 25. Maybe I even could have picked that one right there. That would have been 4, 15. So different versions of this answer, but I went with 2, 20, and once I put my slope and the x value of 2 and the y value of 20, there you can see the equation I got for that one, negative 5/2 times x minus 2, with a plus 20 at the end. So very similarly then in number 3, we again picked 2 points that are actually on the line. Now this time check the scaling here. That doesn't look like the same distance, but that is 5 spaces from 15 to 10, and then that is 5 spaces from 2 to 7. So it's actually down 5, right 5, which is negative 5 over 5, which just simplifies there to negative 1. So again, I picked a point on the line. I opted for 2, 15, but you could have picked other points that were on the line as well. And again, using the slope, the x value, the y value, came up with the equation y equals negative 1 times parentheses x minus 2, parentheses with a plus 15 at the end. So last problem on this page here, we've got number 4. And when I consider which of those is better, I opted for Jessica's, because it's closer to more points and the misses are more balanced above and below the line. So to see what I mean about that, look back here at 2 and 3, and you can see that the line in number 2 kind of goes through the middle of everything there. That one's a little far away, but it's really close to everything else. And some of the misses are up above the line here, some of the misses are down below the line over there. Whereas this one, you can see there's more points that are far away, and you get the impression that a different line, maybe like kind of where I'm drawing it now, could have come closer to more of the points. So again, for number 4, I'm going with Jessica's line is better. And then we'll take a look at number 5 here, which is basically the same question. Which of these lines of fit is better? So I opted for A, and you'll see that my reason is the same as before. It's closer to more of the points, and the misses are balanced above and below. This one is very balanced. In fact, both of these are very balanced, but they don't really come that close to a lot of the points. And this one is the best version of both being balanced and coming close to the points. So then in number 6, this is another one I've been getting a lot of questions about. So I picked D this time, and a lot of people have been emailing either about this specific problem or the ones in the last couple days that were similar to it. What I consider when I choose an equation to fit a scatter plot is, for starters, does this scatter plot have a positive or negative correlation? And once I realize it's a positive correlation, I can look for slopes that are positive. So I see choice B there, that had a negative slope, and choice C as well had a negative slope. So I get rid of them, and I know I need a positive slope. So after I narrow it down to A and D, I'm now thinking about the y-intercept. And when I think about a line that would go through there, maybe kind of like that, well, I see here a y-intercept of 12. That would be way up there, and of course my line is nowhere near there. On the other hand, choice D has a y-intercept of 1. And sure enough, that's very, very close to where my line was drawn. So I'm then going to get rid of A and choose D, y equals 3 halves x plus 1, because it's the equation with a slope and y-intercept that would best make a line to fit the scatter plot. And last page here. So for number 7, when they said for every 5 additional days she house sits, I had to think about, what that means for the graph. So I thought right down here on the x-axis where it says days spent house sitting, and I'm going to do 5 more of them. So I picked a point on the line, and I went right 5 days. Now once I did that, then I looked up here, and I saw that if I went right 5 days, like they say, if you have 5 additional days of house sitting, well then I went up $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6 so that I stayed on the line. So that's why I filled in the number 6 right there. And that would be like a slope of 6/5, up $6, right 5 days. For the y-intercept, I identify it right over here at 0, 2. And I think the x value 0, that's 0 days house sitting. And the y value of 2, that's then you make $2. So the y-intercept tells us that for 0 days of house sitting, you make $2. And last problem here for number 8. Now this time very similar, but they want us to explain the slope, not just fill in the blank. So they told us the slope is -4/3, both here in the equation and right here in part A. So I wanted to see that on the graph. It helped me make sense of it. So on the graph, I picked about where it looked like I went through a nice point there, right around 20, maybe a little higher, but right around 20. And I went down 4, that's their slope of -4, down 4 to 16. And then I went right 1, 2, 3. So there's that slope they told us about, -4/3. Well, now that I see it on the graph, I can think more about, so what does it mean? And I see the right 3 is I'm playing 3 more hours of video games. I'm spending 3 more hours on video games. So then the down 4 is I'm spending 4 less hours on my homework. And so I put those two ideas together to end up saying, as you play 3 more hours of video games, you spend 4 less hours on homework. And then once again, the y-intercept is just locating it here at 23, 0, 23, and talking about the x value if you spend 0 hours on video games, and then the y value, then you will spend 23 hours on homework. So that's it. I hope that helps explain some of the problems from yesterday. And now at this point, if you go ahead and work on the practice formative number 3, it picks up right after this with problem number 9. Thank you very much.